Yeah. Well, see, the thing about it.
Oh, man.
We need to know. First 2 days of school have gone extremely well. We don't want the board meeting to mess that up, okay? We want to be like we know what we're doing and right here. Okay, started. Well, I see it's 5:31. We'll call this regular monthly board meeting of the Baldwin County Board of Education to order. I'm going to ask Mr. Meyer, would you have our invocation, please? Yes. Pray with me, please. Lord, we thank you for this great county we live in. We thank you that for all the blessings upon this county. Thank you for the smooth start of our school year. It's great to see the kids back in school. This is such a great county. We just ask that you be with the teachers, students, our support staff. We just hope, Lord, that you keep everyone safe this entire year. And we just give you all the praise and the glory. Forgive us where we fail you. We ask all these things in your name. Amen. Amen. Please stand as able and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Salute. Pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, again, we are thankful that you are all here tonight for our board meeting. We are streaming live. Isn't that right? We are streaming live. And it will be archived, so anyone that would like to go back and see the business that is conducted here tonight. No letters of commendation tonight? Is that what I hear? Thank you. So good. It was so fun Tuesday night in Loxley that I was afraid this is great. Mr. Wilhite.
Thank you very much, and thank you for being here tonight at our board meeting. For those watching on live stream tonight or recorded, one of the outstanding moments of our board meeting is when we get to recognize outstanding employees. And those often are unsung heroes until we sing their praises here, and I get to be the announcer, and the presentation is from our board and our superintendent. Let me read the first letter of commendation tonight. The Baldwin County Board of Education is pleased to recognize James Pettis, Building and Grounds Manager, North Baldwin Center for Technology, and award this letter of commendation for the 2018-2019 Excellence in Custodial Services Award, presented this 15th day of August 2019. Come forward, if you will, Mr. Pettis. And if you can join me over here on the left, then we'll do a little picture here in just a second. This letter of commendation reads, the Baldwin County Board of Education is pleased to recognize Amanda Emmons, North Baldwin Center for Technology, and award this letter of commendation for the 2018-2019 Excellence in Custodial Services Award, presented this 15th day of August 2019. It's signed by our superintendent, Mr. Eddie Tyler, presented up for our 7-member board. We get you two right here with the superintendent. We'll ask our representative board member, Mr. Johnson, if he'd come forward, and we'll take a picture.
You don't get no cookies or nothing? I mean, what was the deal? I hate to say it every time, but I just love that when the accommodations are done there, and I certainly wouldn't want to miss that. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Everybody good? Nicole, we're glad you're with us tonight. Thank you for being here.
Hey, Nicole.
All right, everybody take a deep breath.
Here we go.
Let it out. It's all good. It's all good.
It's too bad that tonight didn't start college football. We might have
If you didn't hear that, he said it's too bad that tonight didn't start college football because we might be there for kickoff. I don't know. It won't be long now. Approval of the minutes. We have minutes from a special meeting July 2nd, a regular meeting July 18th, and a special meeting from July the 31st. You've received a copy of all three of those minutes. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I have a motion by Mrs. Cawley and a second by Mrs. Lynch. All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes are approved. No delegation signed up tonight, Nicole, unless you would like to. All right. Amendments to the agenda, Mr. Superintendent.
Yes, amendments to the agenda. Amend number 3, leave of absence of personnel. Number 4, retirement and resignation of personnel. Number 5, transfer, intent to transfer of personnel. Number 6, employment of personnel. Number 7, extra work for extended periods. Add number 8, purchase of textbooks for AP Calculus. Information agenda, add number 1, transfer or resignation of personnel.
Do I hear a motion to amend our agenda?
Motion to amend as stated.
Second.
I have a motion by Mrs. Dawson, a second by Mrs. Lynch. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We have amended our agenda. Mr. Superintendent.
Yes, agenda item 1, dissemination of fee schedule and procedures for records request. The superintendent recommends adoption of a motion to approve the dissemination of the fee schedule and procedures for records request as stipulated in the agenda exhibit.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Johnson, a second by Mrs. Cawley. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Agenda item 2, approval of contracts, 21st Century Community Learning Center grant funds. Superintendent recommends adoption of a motion to approve the contracts to be paid from 21st Century Community Learning Center grant funds as stipulated in the agenda exhibit.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion by Mrs. Lynch, a second by Mrs. Dawson. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Agenda item 3, leave of absence of personnel. Superintendent recommends adoption of a motion to approve the leave of absence of personnel as amended and provided to board members under separate cover.
I have a motion by Mr. Johnson, a second by Mrs. Lindsay. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Agenda item 4, retirement and resignations of personnel. Superintendent recommends adoption of a motion to approve the retirement and resignations of personnel as amended and provided to board members under separate cover.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mrs. Lynch, a second by Mrs. Cawley. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Agenda item 5, transfer intent to transfer of personnel. Superintendent recommends adoption of a motion to approve the transfer intent to transfer of personnel as amended and provided to board members under separate cover.
I have a motion by Mrs. Lindsay, a second by Mr. Johnson. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Motion carries.
Agenda item 6, employment of personnel. The superintendent recommends adoption of a motion to approve the employment of personnel as amended and provided to board members under separate cover.
So moved.
I have a motion by Mrs. Lynch, a second by Mrs. Dawson. Any discussion?
Yes, I saw on one of those items, Lisa, an employee, they can to,
I don't know if there's a relation there, but I think
see, I was told, she just told me, somebody on agenda. I mean,
Click out here.
Huh?
What are you trying to do?
I don't know. How's-
And it was there.
Is, there's one,
Oh, yeah, I forget what you did.
there's a name under classified employment.
Right, I don't know if there's a relation there, a familial
I have no
relationship there.
idea.
I have no idea, but I know that the person, at issue, there's, from a nepotism standpoint. He is not in the chain of command for that employee. She's a school employee at, the school where she was hired, and her chain of command would be the principal, the assistant principal, and the building and grounds manager. And the other person at the central office location is not involved in decision-making about hiring or firing
Correct.
or evaluating that person. Now, they give feedback on custodians and, help them and provide training and those types of things, but their relationship is not evaluative in nature, or he doesn't have decision-making ability in
Correct.
terms of a termination or anything.
I mean, I don't even know who the person is. I just, I don't want to do something that would,
I think-
cause nepotism.
I think if there is a relationship, which I don't know if there is or there isn't, I don't think there's a concern about a nepotism issue there. Because of the two,
Correct.
that's a school position and not under the supervision of the person I think that you're asking about, at the central office level.
Any other?
Well, whenever he calls all the custodians to come in and he gives them how they supposed to do everything, it seems to me like he would be over them too.
Well, I've been at some of those meetings, like are you
And
talking about the
I know
meeting?
he's not the direct supervisor.
Right.
But he is over that department.
I mean, he's responsible for providing training. He was responsible for, as far as like how things, get done, as far as what the procedures are.
Yeah. And look, I don't care about that except for the nepotism.
I don't have any concern that there is an issue there from a
Well,
nepotism
I just,
standpoint.
I mean, I had that cousin that was taking that job at Gutshills Elementary, and I recused myself because I don't want to I don't want to hear it.
Right, no,
'Cause
I
had
completely
nothing to do with it,
understand.
but I just don't want, that's the reason I asked.
Right, no, I understand the question, absolutely.
Any other discussion?
To be nepotism, it's two prongs, it has to be in direct chain, and also the other part of it is they had to be involved in the review and hiring of that person doing the
But it gets pretty lengthy when you get into that nepotism because they name several different steps, and it's like, how do you keep going?
Yes.
They just keep going on and on. It's just almost to if you're kin at all.
Scott, do you have any thoughts about that?
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
our policy just incorporates our policy incorporates by reference the Alabama code provision. So the prohibition, looks at the appropriate degree of relationship, and then it doesn't, like Mr. Johnson said, it's looking at one, you can't be the immediate supervisor, and you can't participate in any way in the process of formulating a recommendation for the hire. And then, so the code section goes on to say that the person in that degree of relationship cannot participate in the hiring, evaluation, reassignment, promotion, or discipline of the public employee. So those are the statutory limitations.
Like I said, I don't. That's okay. Thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Motion carries.
Agenda item 7.
7.
Agenda item 7, extra work for extended periods. Superintendent recommends adoption of motion to approve the extra work for personnel as amended and provided to board members under separate cover.
so moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Johnson, a second by Ms. Lindsay. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Agenda item 8, purchase of textbooks for AP Calculus. Superintendent recommends adoption of a motion to approve the purchase of calculus for the AP course second edition textbooks as stipulated in the agenda exhibit.
Second.
We have a motion by Mrs. Dawson, a second by Mrs. Lynch. Any discussion?
Is this purchase countywide for all the schools? Is that what this is?
Yes, Joyce?
No, it's just for Bay Minette.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
That's all I have.
Any board member have anything they want to say?
I do, real quick.
Yes.
Every board member received a copy of the Eastern Shore Parents Magazine on their spot. Our communications department has done a really good job of getting Baldwin County from north to south, all through this magazine. Danielle has done an extremely good job. One of the things I learned in meeting with the communications department is how far in advance they have to work on getting into these magazines and how much effort. It's not just submitting and surprise, it's in there. There's a lot of work that goes into it, and they've done a really good job this month. So these magazines are usually all throughout our schools and their doctor's offices and different things. So that's another way that we're trying to reach out to the public to
And who does this?
sing. Our communications department, Danielle, I think it's a joint effort, but Danielle has really been working hard to get in.
They don't do the magazine.
The magazine's published on the Eastern Shore by a company called Eastern Shore Parents. Lynn Knighting is the editor, and we've worked with her a long time, but we've never been able to support her like we have with the additional staff. And she does, that magazine's kind of a misnomer because it says Eastern Shore Parents, but it's all throughout the county. And
Yeah, well, let's get that Eastern Shore off there.
Oh,
yeah, well, I've told, yeah.
I see nothing wrong with that at all.
Mr. Tyler's got a column in there as well. Your welcome back is in that column. That's how far back. I think we wrote that right after
You weren't supposed to say that.
all that content was submitted a long time ago, and including the one that you did. So
Well, keep Hope's dad in your prayers.
Oh, I was wondering why she missed.
She's been with him during the week. He's just going through some issues physically, and about the time they get one thing corrected, another thing pops up, and so she's naturally she's right there with her dad, and so just keep that in your prayers. Hopefully he'll be able to come out of all this on the good side. And another thing is I can't speak for Hope or Marty or any of the other senior staff, but I have not had any blazing emails for these 2 days, so the 2 days have been good. Whether they burned y'all's ears up or not, but I think it's been a good start to the 2 days. I did send y'all an email from a parent, and I felt like I was very polite and professional. It was all I could do to be polite and professional for somebody who basically just took our staff and teachers to task, and other than that, it's been very positive, and hopefully we can continue this. So just thank y'all.
On the heels of that, Eddie, if I may, I saw that copy that you sent to us, and I do know on behalf of, Mr. McDuffie, and he doesn't need anyone to speak for him or for Miss Ward either, but I do know that at Foley Middle School, the peer helpers were constantly in the halls from prior to school beginning and through each lunch wave for each grade to try to assist new students in schools. Even if students looked lost but didn't say anything, they approached them. And the peer helpers did have on identifying tags. They did have on lanyards with a blue card in there with their name plus identifying them as a peer helper. So I know sometimes when you're moving to someplace new, things can get a little hectic, but I think Foley Middle School, on behalf of Mr. McDuffie and Miss Ward, who sponsors the peer helper group, they were there in the hall, certainly trying to do as much as they could.
And I was there that first day too, and it was very smooth, and a lot of activity, very smooth. But I'm always try to represent you professionally. But sometimes my hot button does get pushed, and it's all I can do to answer somebody professionally and polite. So I'll continue to do that.
We appreciate that.
I'm sorry.
With that bit of levity, I'll entertain a motion. Budget hearing, yeah, yeah.
Everybody excited?
We're really excited.
Yeah, it's not denied, is it?
Yes, sir.
27th, 5 o'clock, right, Louise? In Loxley?
Yes, sir, special board meeting and then.
Special board meeting and then the budget hearing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So you can answer a bunch of questions.
Popcorn, some goobers, and
You want to do any kind of preliminary tease tonight, or just, you're welcome
Look at
to?
my computer.
All right. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Have a motion, second, all in favor? Aye. We are officially adjourned. Thank you for being here.
But you know,
I know I got two coming for sure.
there's a thing about it when you start talking about it.